Hello, I am Cristian Sumile, and today I'll discuss some common problems of irrigated land. There are four categories of the problems of irrigated land: institutional, technological, environmental, and technical. Under institutional is land titling, users' empowerment of management, water rights, users' organizations, and sustainable fees. Land titling. For definition, it is the evidence of the right of the owner, or the extent of his or her interest, and by which means he or she can maintain control and as a rule assert right to exclusive possession and enjoyment of the property. The problem with the titling is that the irrigated land might have an underlying issues that may affect the operation. Users' empowerment and management. If mishandled, the individual with the authority might abuse his or her power and misuse resources such as water. Water rights. Water is a valuable commodity and an integral component of agricultural land ownership, thus it should be put to beneficial use. Users' organization. Most commonly in areas having irrigated lands, and irrigators used to organize a group of people who will embody them and be the voice of all irrigators of their community or those so-called officers. Next, sustainable fees. During harvest time, irrigators are obliged to give fees out of their harvest to the people embodying their organizations, as well as to the organization itself. Some irrigators are not able to give fees to the organization, and this will be a problem because how can the officers do their job if their hard work is not being paid off? Technological. On-farm management versus off-farm management. Farm management is the collective term for various management strategies and methods that are employed to keep a farm productive and profitable. In on-farm management, acquiring new technologies cannot be easily obtained by a small group of farmers. On off-farm management, third parties who provide seminars, trainings, and financial assistance can be contributors of a farmer's problem. Appropriate technology. If inappropriate technology is used, it may be a costly farming. Technological innovations have greatly shaped agriculture throughout time, from the creation of the plow to the Global Positioning System or GPS driven precision farming equipment. Humans have developed new ways to make farming more efficient and grow more food. Adaptive research. It is a research where one assesses the adaptivity of something. Agricultural research for development has made important contributions to poverty reduction and food security. Research for development needs to become more effective and efficient in terms of contributing towards long-term development goals. Training and capacity building. Capacity building and training have long been recognized as an important component of most research for development activities. To ensure longer-term sustainability and impact of the outcomes of the research it funded, it was important that all those who involved in the projects improve their skills and understanding of all aspects of the research undertaken. Cost-effective practices. Good maintenance practices can generate substantial water savings and should be considered a resource. A number of technologies have been developed to apply water more uniformly without excessive waste. These, these improvements may require capital, energy, or increased management costs, whereas the conventional surface systems often require only minimal maintenance of delivery systems. However, in some cases, the additional labor savings will justify installation of improved systems. Drainage and salinity. Drainage is the natural or artificial removal of a surface water and subsurface water from an area with excess of water. presence of excessive amounts of salt in the soil or soil-water solution is a consequence of either poor or inadequate drainage, inadequate leaching, or a shallow or upward rising water table, all of which will result 30 in net upward water movement out of the soil, thereby leaving salts behind. Modernization. Modernization is not limited to the introduction of modern hardware and software techniques, but is rather a fundamental transformation of the management of water resources. These, trans- these transformations can include changing rules and institutional structures related to water rights, water delivery services, accountability, mechanisms, and incentives, in addition to the physical structures. Modernization is more likely to succeed if the ideas come from the farmers. Next, environmental. Salinity. Salinity affects production in crops, pastures, and trees by interfering with nitrogen uptake, reducing growth and stopping plant reproduction. Some ions, particularly chloride, are toxic to plants, and as the concentration of this ion increases, the plant is poisoned and dies. As salt accumulates in saline discharge areas, they can reach levels that affect plants in a number of ways. This leads to poor plant health, a loss of productive species, and dominance of salt-tolerant species. Waterlogging. Waterlogging occurs when there is too much water in a plant's root zone, which decreases the oxygen available to roots. Waterlogging can be a major constraint for plant growth and production, and under certain conditions will cause plant death. When the soil is waterlogged, wild plant life grows abundantly. The growth of wild plants totally prevents the growth of useful crops. Overdraft of aquifers. Overdraft occurs when over a period of years, more water is pumped from a groundwater basin than is replaced from all sources, such as rainfall, irrigation water, streams fed by mountain runoff, and intentional recharge. Direct impacts of groundwater overdraft include reduced water supply due to aquifer depletion or groundwater contamination, increased groundwater pumping costs, and the cost of well replacement of deepening. An increased number of people with domestic wells are seeing them dry up, leading to conflicts. Disposal of hazardous effluents. Hazardous effluents from the above industries are disposed into the streams almost exclusively without adequate treatment, which is likely to affect the water quality of the receiving streams. The changes in the nutrient concentrations of water may lead to harmful effects to humans and aquatic life. Use of chemicals in agriculture. Many farmers choose to use chemicals to keep weeds and pests from destroying their crops and to add more nutrients to the soil. There are three different kinds of pesticides: herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides. To put more of these nutrients back into the soil, many farmers will add fertilizers. The potential impact on the environment, or for that matter, human health, simply was not on the average farmer's mind. Wearing protective clothing while mixing or applying pesticides was unheard of, and concern about runoff to streams or infiltration to groundwater was not considered. Technical. Irrigation systems turning on during rainy weather. Watering your plants is not necessary when nature is doing it for you. It's also not necessary for at least 2 days after it rains, and often for much longer. It is important to water your plants regularly, but the problem here is what happens when it starts raining at the exact time the irrigation system is set to start watering the plants, because it is not ideal to give the plants a double dose of water, especially when you aim to save water and money. Water pressure issues. High, low, or fluctuating water pressure can become an issue when your irrigation system is in use. because it can prevent your plants from getting watered properly. Water pressure issues can result in misting, which is not effective hydration for your plants. Overwatering versus underwatering. When plants have too little water, leaves turn brown and wilt. This also occurs when plants have too much water. The biggest difference between the two is that too little water will result in your plant's leaves feeling dry and crispy to the touch, while too much water results in soft and limp leaves. Awkward garden design. Your garden probably has one or more of the following characteristics: small or tight areas, odd shapes, long strips, crazy corners, various buildings, winding paths, and weird obstacles. The problem is that during watering, the water can end up being distributed to all the wrong areas. Water runoff and pooling. The ultimate goal is to get the water to where it needs to go and to avoid as much water wastage as possible. The problem is that certain parts of the area may have more compact soil, which means the water is not always absorbed and begins to run off into areas that don't need the water. So that's all. Thank you.